Hello and welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you for joining me as we take a look at the astrological energies of the next week and what a week it is. Now, you can look around the world right now and see the big energies, the big changes, the big things that are going on all around us, and the energy has not peaked. I'm going to share with you more about what is unfolding as we move through March. For those of you who are regular listeners to the show, you know that I've talked about how March is a game changer month, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that in our world and in our daily lives. So it's amazing how the astrology shows up. It's amazing how the astrology is continually accurate and confirms a sense of the bigger picture unfolding in our world. If you are new to this podcast, welcome. I focus on astrology from an intuitive spiritual lens. We look at the energetics as well as the specifics of the astrological transits. And if you have listened to this podcast for a while, welcome back and thank you for joining me. This show has been going strong for over 8 years now, and it is my joy to talk astrology with you. I have been a practicing and studying astrologer for nearly 30 years, and it's just been a passion that developed into a profession. It's something that I've always found interesting and always supported me on my journey, and I hope to do the same for you, that the astrology shows you more about who you are, what you are here to do in the world, your soul mission, your soul work, and your healing work as well. So we're moving through very big energies right now that are rare and powerful, and we've been talking about this for a while. How the energy of 2020 is so unique that it shows the significant changes we are moving through this year. And as I've said, this energy has not peaked. What is unfolding with the coronavirus is the most obvious example of how our lives are changing right now, but there is much more to come. And I want to give you the right mentality as well as support you in making the right choices for the rest of this year. This year is going to end very differently than it began. And in fact, what's interesting about 2020 is how the first half of the year has very strong Capricorn energies. Right now, at this time, we have 4 planets in Capricorn. We have Saturn at 29 degrees of Capricorn. So the very, very end of Capricorn, it's called a critical degree. We have Pluto at 24 degrees of Capricorn, where it's going to remain at 24 degrees of Capricorn for a number of months. We have Jupiter at 22 degrees of Capricorn, about to make a conjunction in the next week with Pluto. I'll be talking about that in the show. And then we also have Mars moving through Capricorn at 20 degrees. And over the next week, also make some big conjunctions to both Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn. So this is a very strong time of dissolving, destruction, things coming apart, the constructs of our world changing. Obvious to see that right now, but the energies change in the second half of the year when Mars will be in Aries for months and will be making these squares to planets in Capricorn, which means the anger comes out. The sense of what is happening and what is being done, where is the action being taken. So the first half of 2020 is showing us what needs to change, although a lot is happening behind the scenes. And then the second half of 2020 is looking for the new starts and looking for what's going to be supporting us going forward, but perhaps a lot of anger coming up along the way too. So the reason why I'm going over all of this is to give you a map to help you navigate realistically how things are not going to be fixed quickly. There isn't going to be a quick turnaround. The coronavirus is not going to be gone in 2 weeks or a month. Society is changing permanently. Our families are changing. Our work lives are changing. Banks, business is changing. All the businesses that are being shut down right now. If you listen to the Saturn in Aquarius episodes I just did, in part 2, I talked about all the different areas of life that Aquarius rules. And you'll notice those are all shut down. Sporting events, places where people gather, amusement parks, movie theaters, all of these things are closed. So do you see how we are being given an opportunity right now to come back to ourselves, to come back to our own energies, who you are, what you're responsible for, what your choices are, what is best for you right now as these big world changes unfold. We all have different variables in our lives, and that's where you are meant to make the best possible choices for you. The variables include your family. It's very different if you have one child versus 3 kids versus no kids. If you are single, if you are married, if you have an income, if you do not have an income. There's all these variables in our lives right now. Please know that you're not alone. Millions are being affected, and I know that it's very normal when we go into even our own survival, we look at, okay, this is my situation, this is what I need to be aware of. But this is working at a global level. So there will be solutions and opportunities come through to help many, to help the millions. But also, what I'm also feeling as we look at the changes of 2020, we're starting out with a need for strong leadership, for the Capricorn energies to take charge, for the governments to make decisions, the leaders, the politicians, all this stuff. We look to them to tell us, what's going to happen next? What's the solution? Is there going to be some type of, checks written, or what happens next, right? And then the second half of the year, I feel like we're needing to really be in our own sovereignty, where there's anger at perhaps what has been done or not done, and it comes back to, what do I need to do for myself? And I would like to offer that as a message to you now, as what can you do for your own beneficial welfare? What can you do right now to take care of what you need to do without reliance upon the bigger structures of the world? And that's to empower you, to remind you you have choices, to remind you of what you can do. And to understand that these energies are changing our world permanently. And I realize that in a way is pretty vague, but I think that we're getting some more specifics through the coronavirus. We're seeing how the world is changing permanently. Over the next week, we have Mars conjunct Jupiter in Capricorn at 22 degrees on March 20th. And this is an igniting energy. This is also the degree of the January 10th Cancer lunar eclipse. This is where Mars comes through with what we need to take action on, where we need to move forward. Mars conjunct Jupiter is typically beneficial. It's typically an opportunity of the right solutions, the right next steps, something coming through that brings in a resource, a path. This is typically very beneficial. However, a few days later, we're going to see Mars conjunct Pluto on March 22nd at 24 degrees. And this is more of a destructive energy. It can be something that rises up. It can be this feeling, like this deeper feeling of, but this is what I really have to do. I believe this is connected to that soul force energy, where there could be a very big reality check in your life, March 20th to 22nd, about what you need to do next. And in Capricorn, it's about our work, our profession, our career. What needs to change in your professional world? Now, we have people all around the world needing to work from home at this time. Of course, that's related to Pluto in Capricorn. But there's something else here that's supposed to move us forward into a next step, into something that we're ready to do that we perhaps weren't ready to do. Okay, so the next week, action, choices, progress, do what you need to do based on the variables of your life, and look at where you have power to make choices. So a very big week is underway as Mars comes through and conjuncts Jupiter and conjuncts Pluto. Now, we also have the growing Jupiter conjunct Pluto, where there's going to start being an exact conjunction March 27th, 28th. And it lasts into April 7th and 8th. This is when Jupiter is at 24 degrees of Capricorn. But it isn't exactly conjunct Pluto until April 4th. this is when there's a peak in the energy. So you see how we're still building, we're still moving into developments. And if you are following some of the conversations that are being had, the officials are saying that an overreaction is justified. An overreaction is in fact not an overreaction. And that overreaction would be related to Jupiter because of how Jupiter makes things bigger. So Jupiter is saying the overreaction is in fact the best conservative choice right now. So that's pretty cool to make a connection with the astrology because, they're not going to talk about the astrology when they're on the podiums. So the overreaction right now is needed, meaning being overly conservative, almost like do what you think is extreme. So that's why the isolation is important, or the quarantine, or the, only allowing certain people in a store at a time to pick up groceries. All of this is in the astrology, and it's a thumbs up. This is what we need to maintain into April, is a sense of really going slow and not doing what we would normally do out of an abundance of caution. That's a great way to describe Jupiter in Capricorn. Every time I see that phrase, an abundance of caution, all those emails you're getting right now from the various places that you signed up for, you signed up to get their emails through the years, like every company, an abundance of caution. Well, there you go, Jupiter in Capricorn. So over the next week, we're seeing that things are going to keep moving forward and decisions and actions are going to be taken that could seem more extreme out of that abundance of caution. But that is in fact how what the world needs right now, the flatten the curve, but also the sense of what is preventative for the long term. In some ways, it's too late. In some ways, there's already so many ripple effects and ramifications going on. But we have this sense of what needs to be contained is how we stay healthier, is how we stay healthy. So we have also the sun entering Aries on March 19th. This happens at 11:49 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it could be March 20th in your time zone. And this is the beginning of the astrological new year. It is called the Aries Equinox, or the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. It is a time of resurgence and new birth, new beginning points. We all get a download of energies coming through. And it gives us support for what we do next and where we go next. There's always a time of setting these new intentions of the beginning point starting in Aries, because it's where we essentially are ready to plant the seeds that grow, bloom, and harvest over the next number of months. So energetically, it is a really powerful time for you to look at what your intention is for this year. What do you need support for this year? What is important to you? What is vital to what you are growing as we move through the realities of 2020? The sun is very strong in Aries. There is a return of self. The Aries energy is when we're developing a sense of who I am, based on your own subjective knowingness, based on the desire to be strong in yourself, to have the courage to be who you are. So we all get that burst of energy, that courage to understand who we are, to lead our own lives, to know who we want to be in the world. So again, it's the beginning point of self-development. And what new areas of your life are you looking to understand? Is there anything about yourself that you want to understand more of? So it's a beautiful time to come back to who you are and to look at what you need, because that is in fact your responsibility. It's nobody else's responsibility to know who you are or what you need. So when we begin at this point, when we begin with a desire to know ourselves more, it can increase our own consciousness. It can help us see the bigger picture. You can remember that you are a soul. You are here for certain reasons. You are here to be a part of the human experience. But who are you right now? What do you need? What forms your self-identity? And of course, it'd be fair to say that a lot of that can be changing. A lot of that could be shifting right now. But the sun in Aries is going to help you see more of who you are and to trust that, to trust what motivates you, to trust what inspires you, to trust the new beginnings that you want, to trust where it's time for you to focus on yourself, to bring the energy in to your own self-identity and to allow that to make you stronger. Of course, the other side of Aries energies, the lower consciousness, is that it can be selfish and impulsive. It can be quick to anger. The Aries energy can be too self-involved and not consider others. Every astrological sign has lower consciousness and higher consciousness. And so as we journey through the sun in Aries, we are raising our consciousness around our soul's identity in this lifetime. And to see it from a place of, I'm seeing like downloads of courage, like the desire to be who you are without compromising that, without giving that away, without diminishing your own light, your own fire, your own zest. It's like the zest to be who you are. It feels very encouraging right now. We haven't had the fire energy for a while. The sun hasn't been in a fire sign since Sagittarius, which was, of course, late November into December. So there's a return of the fire, which can make us feisty, but it can also be energizing. All right. So use that energy to your highest and best advantage over this next week. And it's really strong because not only is the sun in Aries, Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is a strong activator this week. So there's a lot about taking action, getting going, looking at the physical needs you have of exercising, of making choices, making moves. There's a lot of a return to action this week. And also be aware of anger, impulsiveness, impatience. The impatience could show up simply the cabin fever of being inside for too long, the sense that I want to go do what I've normally done, or I want to go to my store, my restaurant, or my bar, but you can't, right? Things are shut down. This is all the Capricorn energy saying no. And then our Aries energy that's coming through says, but this is what I want. So you're being asked to redirect your energy. Redirect yourself so that you can move energy through you. You know, you can do jumping jacks in the house. You can do your lunges in the house. You can do a plank challenge. It's like, how are you going to use your body and your physical energy in a new way with all of these current shutdowns and closures that I believe will continue for a while? Granted, every country is on a different timeline. Every country is on a different plan, if you will. I know that you are a global listening base, so you, of course, would take this information and apply it to your world. But know that there's long-term effects here. So keep that in mind and have that adjust your expectations. I know that I have bought toys for my son because I'm like, how do I keep him entertained? Granted, I have one child, I don't have four. How do you keep kids entertained? And what do you need to do to be able to focus and do your work or take care of your job? I mean, these are all big questions right now that are coming up for millions of people. You're not alone. Seek out community knowledge. Seek out community solutions. This is part of Saturn entering Aquarius, which is happening March 22nd, depending on your time zone, of course. When Saturn enters Aquarius, we have this very interesting dichotomy going on right now because, as I said, a lot of the typical Aquarian community places are closed. And so you can't go to the bars or the hangouts or the movie theaters. But the other part of Aquarius is the individual. So we are being asked right now, as Saturn enters Aquarius, to go into your individual needs, to go into what you can do right now that isn't perhaps what you normally would do, but it's meant to strengthen what your needs are and to also relate like I'm thinking of social media, Facebook groups or Reddit or other forums where people are sharing their lives, or this is how I'm doing homeschooling, or this is how I'm working from home, or this is how I'm doing what I need to do right now. So you look at what others are sharing online and allow that to be inspiring and practical advice for your own routines. So make the most of that right now. Make the most of what you know or what you can learn from other people. As in, we don't have to figure it all out by ourselves, but we do have to make choices that are realistic for our daily lives. So that will be a big shift as Saturn moves into Aquarius. The new solutions, the new possibilities, the new ways of taking care of ourselves is going to come through. And in fact, it creates community, to know that you're not alone, to know that there are others who have something to offer you. The other thing that's important about this next week is that we do have an upcoming new moon in Aries at 4 degrees of Aries. The sun and the moon are conjunct Chiron. And I do have a separate video coming for you on YouTube around this Aries new moon at 4 degrees. But it's conjunct Chiron, which is at 5 degrees. And this is in fact very big because Chiron is the soul's wound. And we're each being asked to be more independent than ever, which is also an Aries trait. So the fear of independence, the fears or the desire to understand what that looks like, what that means. There's a big potential in this new moon to be quiet, to go within, and to look at how you are equipped to trust yourself more than ever before. I feel like there is a collective energy with this Aries new moon that opens up on March 25th. The new moon is on the 24th, but the sun will be exactly conjunct Chiron at 5 degrees on March 25th. This is an opening to something that you're ready to see in yourself that has been underdeveloped. It's interesting, okay, because what I'm seeing is like there's this pocket of energy that we've each carried for lifetimes that has been underdeveloped, that has not been matured, that has been I feel it related to the root chakra, fight or flight. And so throughout your various soul experiences, there has been something within your being that has resorted to a lower expression of Aries energy. And as I say this, I'm getting all these examples of armies, of warriors, of the fighters, and that it has been perhaps expected that there's been a desire to go to war or to fight or to unleash anger for something that's been threatening. And I'm feeling like this Aries new moon is opening up a way to move through that impulse or that desire or that initial anger, those even the fears, the vulnerabilities, the sense of I can't do this on my own. If that's coming up for you right now, I don't know how I'm going to do this on my own. I don't know what to do. I'm in that place of the fear. This Aries new moon is going to give you opportunities to shift the energy, to shift what needs to be healed in the root chakra. Again, it feels like a pocket of energy that needs to be healed, that is supporting your soul development, that you have what you need. You have more tools than you've known. And I'm feeling this as a huge download coming through me right now, like it's coming across my back, and I'm getting really big chills that you have what you need. You have the tools within you. And during this time of Aries energy, allow yourself to birth and grow in new ways. We all are needing to do that right now. Certainly might not feel like it's by choice, but we're all being asked to expand what we considered our self-identity, what we considered our reality, what we considered how we would live our lives. I feel this as a reminder that there are infinite tools that are going to show up and support us right now. Okay, so as I say all this, I'm seeing a connection, a very strong connection as well. The sun in Aries is actually being loosely supported by Saturn in Aquarius. And there is an importance right now to look at how you can work with other people directly, how you can support others directly, how you can be in connection with other people, whether that's through socially, as neighbors, as healers, as anything where what you can offer other people cannot be automated, cannot be turned into technology, cannot be taken away by a bigger corporation. What can you do to connect with people that supports what they need? Now, this doesn't have to be in an official capacity, although I know many of you work as healers and guides and readers, and you do a lot with your spiritual gifts. But I'm seeing this as how you connect with other people to do meditations, or how you connect with other people to give them knowledge. I mean, this is what humanity is moving towards. How can the human spirit, the human energy field, be activated in a genuine, authentic way, but cannot be replicated, cannot be removed, cannot be taken from you, cannot be given to another, artificial intelligence, cannot be given to a robot, cannot be taken over by automation or anything else? How can the human spirit be genuinely valued and amplified at this time? And as I say this, there's a rocket launch happening because I'm working from home. And when there's a rocket launch, it shakes all of our sliding glass doors and they're starting to tremble. So I'm going to keep speaking even though I think there's a rocket launch, because I feel like it's a timely energy boost. What's very important over this next week is that you gather in your energy, okay? You call it all back. You call it all back, and I feel like this is a daily basis thing, but I also feel this is very potent on the Aries New Moon. On March 24th and March 25th, these are very big days. I'm getting the image of like an egg that's been cracked, but then the egg comes back together. And, okay, maybe there's the cracks, but the egg is still whole. And you bring in what is essential for you right now, and you understand at a deeper soul level that you are here for powerful reasons, and that's what you claim. You say, I am here to be a part of this big shift, this big transformation, and that's exactly what you allow to guide you through. Now, we are moving through very big energies, as I said, and these changes have not even peaked yet, and they're going to continue into April. So what kinds of practical choices and decisions do you need to make? Where do you need to reprioritize your life and your expectations? We're each being asked with the strong Capricorn energies to take care of our lives in a whole new way, which can actually be, on the one hand, that sounds really clear, but it's like there's all these changes happening that it's hard to find stability when there's a lot that's coming apart or coming undone. It requires us to stay on our feet and to stay flexible, to stay in that place of, okay, I can move through what is happening here. Now, the other strong energies that will be supporting us is that Venus is in Taurus, and she's going to be making some positive connections with the planets in Capricorn. Before she connects with the planets in Capricorn, however, Venus is going to make a lovely sextile to Neptune in Pisces at 18 degrees on March 22nd. March 22nd is a powerful day. There's a lot of transits happening, and that's also when Mars is conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. But Venus in Taurus, sextiling Neptune and Pisces, is bringing in something that you are meant to trust. Trust what you need is something's going to show up. I feel like there's this resurgence of the feminine energies, the divine feminine energies that trust the creation process, even during the destruction process. So there's a sense of possibility that comes in. And then as Venus moves through the last week of Mars, she trines Jupiter in Capricorn at 23 degrees on March 27th. And then she trines Pluto in Capricorn at 24 degrees on March 28th. That's also when Jupiter begins a conjunction to Pluto in Capricorn. So I'll talk about this more next week. But as a heads up, that Venus in Taurus, it feels important right now because that's where we're all thinking about money and finances and what's changing and what's happening. It seems by the end of the month, there's something that connects, that helps people out, that is kind of this opportunity for, the economy to keep going. Of course, the global economy needs to keep moving, but this could be any kind of stimulus package. This could be something about like rent moratoriums. This could be grace periods for payments. This could be something that gives people a break or a sense of, what's best for the long term. So the Venus in Taurus is actually supporting what's happening right now. It's not as powerful, of course, as all the planets in Capricorn, but she's having conversations with the planets in Capricorn and saying, hey, you got to help me out today, or there's something that needs to be given that helps people in a practical, real world way. So that is supportive right now. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Uranus in Taurus, which is now at 4 degrees of Taurus, returning to 4 degrees of Taurus after being retrograde last year. And the thing to note about Uranus in Taurus is that it moves in 84-year cycles. So the last time Uranus was in Taurus was in the 30s during the Great Depression. And in fact, I was just seeing on one of these documentaries, they were talking about a photographer who was hired by the presidential administration to go out and take pictures of what was happening in America at that time. And, some of it was propaganda because they weren't going to release pictures of all the struggling, all the hardship, or all the suffering, but they wanted to show a real world connection to the farmers. I believe that's where the assignment started, was taking a picture of what life was like for farmers. So they were talking about how it's been 85 years since this type of situation has come around in America. And of course, I was like, ding, 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 Uranus and Taurus. And they started talking about rationing of food. And is that going to happen in 2020? Is there going to be food shortages? Is there going to be rationing of resources? Well, the astrology suggests yes. Do I want to create fear? No. Do I want to spread that message prematurely? No. But what Uranus in Taurus does is it shakes up our resources. Taurus is about the resources that we use on a daily basis. It's about the basics of food, water, shelter, and what we need to live our lives to feel stable. And Uranus comes through and destabilizes things. So, you can say, well, look around, look at what's happening in the grocery stores and the supply chains. Thankfully, the supply chains are still active right now because of the truckers and the transport services who are delivering foods to your local favorite Target, to your local favorite grocery store. And we're reliant upon those delivery services at this time as things are changing and shifting. So it would be wise, looking at the astrology, to get more than you need. I know that they're saying to not hoard food. I know that they're saying to be aware of what you're buying. And I am going to say that the astrology suggests that you are mindful of what you need, and that if resources or the supply chains slow down or shut down, that you're equipped with what you need and what your family needs. Because the reality is, I don't think any of us thought this is how life would look at this point in time. We talk about, okay, big changes happening in January 2020. And lo and behold, yes, there were, right? The coronavirus began, but we didn't know how it was going to play out. I remember saying how January 2020 is the beginning of one of the biggest economic changes that the world has ever seen. That the financial structures, what is going to happen in even the stock market in the world is really big. And that was related to Saturn conjunct Pluto. but we don't know how. There's many ways that things can play out. We just look at the general themes and what the energies suggest. This is why astrology is so incredible and so amazing. And believe me, there's times when I have questioned astrology, when I've been a skeptic, when I've been like, well, we'll just see, or I don't know, maybe, maybe not. But as I've practiced it through the years, the astrology's been pretty darn accurate. So here we are looking at how things that started in January 2020 have unfolded and affected the global economy, have affected our daily lives, have affected our professional worlds and our careers, our families. This is going to continue. And I want you to feel empowered and mentally ready that you can handle this and that you're not at the whims of the politicians. You're not at the whims of the governments. You are a sovereign being who says, okay, right, this is what I need to do now. This is what I need to do next. I want you to feel like you have choices and that you're not just at the mercy of whatever comes down the pike or whatever new policies come through. You are a thinking, active person and you follow astrology. You understand how big this time is astrologically. It is the time of the Great Awakening. It is the time of whatever's been false, disruptive, horrible to humanity comes apart, falls apart. This includes people in top places in society, high-level individuals who have a lot of power, a lot of money, a lot that they have been able to construct in their lives. This is a falling down of them because of what they have chosen and what they've selected. There was an individual who said early on that they had the virus. And as soon as I saw that, I called the BS flag. I said, liar, liar, your pants are on fire. You don't have it. And this individual is hiding something because of who they're connected to, of what's really happening behind the scenes. So I want to open your eyes to some things here. That when people are saying they have the virus or certain things are happening, that might or might not be true. They might be, contained for other reasons and other purposes. And the virus is an amazing cover-up or an amazing reason. And I realize this could be shocking. And what are you talking about, Molly? Stay awake. Stay aware. Stay in your intuition. If something feels off, believe it. Believe that part of yourself. There are going to be more revelations and more cover-ups. And I know that many of you know this, but understand that there are people who have a lot to lose and they're going to lose it. And then they're going to want to protect their reputation, protect their public image, protect. Your intuition will tell you when something's off. Like I said, when that individual said they had the virus, I was like, what a liar. And then I didn't know why though. I can't say. I can't say specifics, but I had a hunch because of what they're connected to. It's like, that's interesting that they would be protecting themselves with the virus. And then it's like, well, of course they would, but they're not the only one. So look at what happens. Watch, okay? Stay aware that not everything that's happening is going to be truthfully revealed. But if you're aware of the Great Awakening, if you're aware of what's been going on behind the scenes, it's going to be perhaps even entertaining to see who speaks up, who comes forward, who has the virus, who is being contained, etc. All right? So there's multiple layers of our world that's shifting right now. There's multiple parts of our lives that are changing permanently. And I am putting together a show for you, a special podcast on some ideas to navigate this change. It's in the works. I hope to release it soon. I just want you to know that it's something I've been thinking about. This is designed to help your mental health and your family. It's designed to help your business. It's designed to help you navigate this very big time. So I'm working on that, and I'm excited to share with you some ideas that might work for you. Of course, you know your life. You know your reality. That's where your power is. Make your choices from there and understand that you have more that will support you than perhaps you can see right now. Because I feel like this is the image I got. When we said, okay, I'm going to be here as a soul at this time for when things are unraveling and coming apart, when towers are falling and there's destruction, but I'm going to be here. I feel like many people who said they're going to be here, you got some kind of golden ticket. Maybe it's your Willy Wonka golden ticket. I just got chills. You got a golden ticket to say, okay, you're a volunteer to help with this time of change on the planet. You will be supported. And that will be different for everyone. Okay, it's not going to look the same. It's not going to show up in similar ways. But some things are working with us in our favor right now. Trust that. Go there. Believe in that. Okay, because this is very big astrology. This is a very big time on the planet. That means your energy is big enough to ride these waves. You are big enough. You are strong enough. We are made to keep going. We are made for this, all right? Teflon tough, even if it doesn't feel that way at times. It's still very natural to feel soft and squishy in the middle. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us beautiful, is that we can be very strong and also soft and squishy and emotional and vulnerable, but we are beautiful in everything that we have right now. So I'm going to end this show now. There was a lot in this show. Please, feel free to share this with anyone who could benefit from it. Please know that we are doing this together. And please remember that it's during these periods of time that amazing gifts can show up from God, Source, Spirit, the universe. The book I wrote, The Modern Heroine's Journey of Consciousness, is about the heroine's journey through different phases of life, through the 11 different phases of a big change, and that we go through a deep emotional process. We go through loss and fear and grieving, but then incredible gifts show up. Incredible blessings come from out of the blue. Stay aware of those, and stay aware of the little blessings that come through too, okay? So I am here with you. We're going through this together. We've got this one day at a time, perhaps 1 hour at a time. And I look forward to being back soon to talk with you more about how you can navigate this time powerfully and with your choices intact. Thank you for joining me, friends. You can find out more about me at mollymccord.online. That's where you can find all of my astrological classes, as well as resources for business, business development, business tips, all of that. And then at consciouscoolchic.com, there's more about the 10 books I have written, including the 2 books that I have published for other people. Please understand that this is information designed to empower you and remember who you are, help you connect with your own soul's energy and soul's vibration. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for traveling on this journey with me, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.